Let us see the adaptation of the transfer technique when performed with two health workers, one positioned in front and one behind the patient. A second health worker is required whenever the assessment enlightened the insufficient motor skills of the patient, especially concerning the lower limb strength and/or coordination and/or motor programming. Working in pair, be it another professional or not, presents few critical points that is necessary to enlist before moving on. First, coordination. It is necessary that both persons always move in accordance with the actions performed by the other. Second, knowledge. Both persons have to know the same movements as to perform them in the same manner. Third, understanding. The more the reciprocal respect between the two persons, the faster and more coordinated the maneuver will be. The second health worker has two possible places to be, side by side with the other colleague or behind the patient between the wheelchair and the bed. In case the second person is behind the patient, the main deficit of the patient is of coordination, motor programming, so he will need a guidance during the movement performance rather than a real physical support. The second health worker is charged with an extra control of the patient's pelvis while the movement is undergoing for a real necessity and a safety issue. The patient does not need extra support and the health worker is not in a favorable position to bear an extra load on his back. Comparing the technique with one health worker, it has to be underlined that the wheelchair has to be positioned tilted by 30 degrees respect with the bed as to allow the health worker behind to come as close as possible to the patient. The health worker that is behind has to control the patient's pelvis and actively participate in the movement only after the patient's pelvis has lifted from the cushion. This has to be done in order to avoid the health worker charging too much weight on his back while in a dangerous position that is bent and twisted. In case both the health workers are in front of each other, the one in front performs the same preparatory maneuvers as it to perform the movement alone, and the one behind lay a knee on the bed and places his hands on the patient's pelvis side as to be ready to support the colleague completing the movement in a quick and smooth way. Considering the greater impairment of the patient, it is recommended to bring the patient's seat on the new surface with reduced speed in order to give the patient the time to coordinate and perform the movement.